Dating back to the Eisenhower administration, the system that gives U.S. presidents the ability to launch a nuclear strike at a moment's notice revolves around what is known as the nuclear football. The football, formerly called the Presidential Emergency Satchel, is carried by a military aide who accompanies the president wherever he goes. As a backup, a second aide carrying another football follows the vice president. But what does a football, the president, and the Super Bowl have to do with each other? Well, let's dig a little deeper. So let's make a couple of notes here. We have the Kansas City Chiefs, like the chief and commander, that the logo or their icon is the tip of a spear. Then we also have the eagle, like the American Eagle or the American Eagle Airlines. That is the logo for the other team playing the football game tomorrow on Sunday, or today, depending on when I release this video. So let's pay attention to the details now. On January 29th, 2025, which just happens to be 29 as in 29 as in February 9th, a United States Army Sikorsky UH-60 Black Hawk helicopter collided midair with American Airlines Flight 5342, operated by PSA Airlines as American Eagle, kind of like the Philadelphia Eagles. A Bombardier 6RJ-700 airliner over the Potomac River about a half mile short of runway 33 at Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport in Arlington, Virginia. All 67 aboard the aircraft were killed in the crash. It is interesting to note that the Black Hawk helicopter was flying a required annual night flight evaluation out of Davison Army Airfield in Fairfax County, Virginia. This flight was an annual flight that had to take place as part of the preparation for, or practicing for, or drilling for continuancy of government. In case of a situation where, let's say, a leader, a chief, was to go missing or die.
Routine annual retraining of night flights on a standard corridor for a continuity of government mission.
So we have a Black Hawk helicopter on a continuity of government flight that happens to run into a American Eagle flight coming out of Kansas. And then we have the other crash. On January 31st, 2025, a mid-ambulance Flight 56 crashed in Philadelphia. You know, kind of like the Philadelphia Eagles. And most people seem to think it looked more like a missile than an airplane. Just saying. To actually understand any of this, you have to understand that the world is ruled by symbolism. Yeah, you would think it would be money or something else, but it's not. It's symbolism. So is there any symbolism related to any of this around the people involved? Let's take a look. People involved. Let's take a look. What you're looking at here, of course, is the Mar-a-Lago coat of arms for Trump. And as you can see, he has a tip of a spear grasp in his fist. Tip of the spear. Interesting. And here we have Trump during graduation ceremonies for West Point. And he is standing at the very front at what you could say symbolically is the tip of the spear once again. And of course here we have the iconic position that Donald Trump likes to sit in when he is sitting with world leaders or meeting with the media. He uses his hands to form the tip of a spear. But how could this possibly be tied to a football game where a nuclear football could come to play? Oh yeah, the Kansas City Chiefs, like the chief and commander, has the tip of a spear on its helmet, and they'll be playing in the Super Bowl. And don't forget the little air crash in D.C. that had to do with them and the Eagles and the Philadelphia Eagles and the Philadelphia crash. And then I've got a little something else to show you that's related. You may not understand it, but many of us here do. There's a little video that came out back in 2013. It's called I Pet Goat, and it shows a submarine coming across the waters with missiles on its back and the angel of death calling in death, and it looks very similar to what may be going on as a prophetic prediction, you might say. Let's take a look. So in this scene, which I'm not going to play for copyright reasons, you see it shows something that is the symbolism of a submarine coming across the water, and the tip of the spear cuts off the head of what looks like a helmet with wings on it. Let's see if we can find any helmet with wings. Well, it looks like we actually have that as well. Now, all of this could be made up in the conspiratorial mind of a genius, or it could be something that's symbolically being played out that could happen. There's too much evidence here. There's too much going on. There's almost seems to be something afoot, kind of like a football or a nuclear football. But Trump's never spoken of nuclear war or anything like that, has he? Well, actually he has. You see, the first interview Trump ever gave discussing the possibility of him becoming president, they asked him, what would be your concerns or thoughts about becoming president? He immediately said, I'm concerned about nuclear weapons and them being used and going off. You can look it up and read it for yourself. But things are never as they seem. You would need a patsy to pull off something like this. So who would be the patsy? Who's got a nuclear sub and doesn't really like the United States and has been very verbal about it, and they're one of the Red Dragon countries? Maybe it might be this guy.
무장 체계와 잠암 작전 능력을 의뢰해야 하시오.
So, will it happen? I don't know. How will it happen? Will it be tsunami? The location's a really good location for a tsunami. They proved that with Katrina. And yes, they pulled that off. Or will it be a hostage type situation where you blow up the 2 bridges that would cut off pretty much all access to the Super Bowl area and hold Mr. T, president, hold him hostage? Or will they show that the place has been blown up, like in the movie Sum of All Fears, or Batman Returns, or whichever Batman movie it was, that they showed the stadium getting blown up? All things to make you go, I'm not trying to invoke fear, other than the fact I wouldn't be nowhere near that place down there. But I'm just trying to make you aware that symbolism rules the world, and they're symbolizing some very interesting things right now. The nuclear football. Interesting name, isn't it? Just a coincidence, I'm sure.
Got one that can see.
Logic before authority.